Already there was the sanctioning of the Nord Stream 2 company that built the pipeline and operates the pipeline. I think there could be more energy sector sanctions to come. There already are some that have been put in place over the last several years. I think it was natural for the government to start with the financial sector primarily. They hit about 80%, banks that constitute about 80% of Russia's banking assets. But I think there's more to come. And certainly you're right that the energy sector is incredibly important. Already prices, though, are significantly putting pressure on the Russian economy, as you know.
Roberto, as Hadley has been discussing, these sanctions didn't target Vladimir Putin directly, which would be a move perhaps symbolic at best. But at the same time, stop short of targeting the SWIFT system as well, which connects Russia with the rest of the financial world. Why was SWIFT avoided in this case? And should that be considered in the future? It's been described as, unfortunately, perhaps an unfortunate characterization, but the nuclear option here.
Yeah, well, from reporting, it seems like there was some resistance by some parts of Europe to ejecting Russia from the SWIFT messaging network. At the end of the day, I think the sanctions on the actual banks themselves are more significant. Certainly, it would be disruptive to eject Russia from SWIFT, but there are ways of working around that. And so I think the fact that the governments have not yet gotten there has not significantly undercut the sanctions. But certainly, we could see a scenario where there is consensus to move forward in that direction. It would be a significant move. I don't think it's quite the nuclear option that it's sometimes made out to be.
I want to follow up on that, Roberto, because that's generally been the argument that we've heard from policymakers on and off camera, is that essentially barring Russia from the SWIFT system would have a massive impact on the global economy, which would be bad in the current environment. But also, it could potentially damage the hegemony, if you will, of the U.S. dollar in the financial system. What's your take?
Yeah, well, certainly that is a concern. I mean, there's a number of factors that would go into that decision. Banning Russia from SWIFT would also make it difficult for payments to be made to U.S. and other European companies where those payments are still legal under the sanctions. There's wind down periods where payments can be made. And of course, the sanctions are not completely comprehensive. So there still is a number of payments and business that can be done with Russia, even under these sanctions. So there would be a large cost to U.S. and Western economies from that. But you're right, there would also be a large cost to the Russian economy. I think we'll just have to see in the days ahead, whether there's more sanctions on Russian financial institutions that really do, impose a very strong impact on the financial sector, possibly where the SWIFT measure will not be necessary. But I think we'll have to see.